Hey guys, Sean here. Today I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning on carburetor for my KX125. I have a Key PWK 36 carburetor. I really like it. I have done a lot of tinkering with it, changing my jets and trying to work on get my bike dialed in just perfect. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and we'll dive right into do a little bit of cleaning on this thing and show you how I clean it out and what I like to do. And I do this after every few rides. I mean, I don't think that it hurts to go into the carburetor and clean them out. I mean, you never really know what's in your fuel nowadays. So let's dive right in and we'll get this thing clean best we can. Alright guys, as you can see, I've already took my carburetor out. I've got it sitting here on my bike. I've already took the slide out. I'm not going to take this spring off or anything right now. Just every time I take this off, I really look at this needle, rub my finger across the tip, just make sure there's no burrs, make sure it's not catching on anything inside the carburetor, because I have had that happen before. A little burr be right here on the end of it and it would stick in my carburetor. So I've had to replace that needle before, so just keep an eye out for that. And if you are doing some tuning, all you have to do is take this spring out here, and you can take that little thing there. It's I really don't know what's called. I mean, just kind of hold your needle in place. If you have an adjustable needle, I've got mine set on the third notch, so I'm kind of right in the middle on mine. So shouldn't have to fool with this thing any, unless you were just making some adjustments. But today we're just cleaning, so I've got that out. We'll take the carburetor over here to the table and get it took apart and see how good some cleaning we can do. Alright guys, so I got the carburetor over here. What I like to do, definitely before I take the float bow off the bottom of the carburetor, is just make sure any dirt that may have been left, after you've washed your bike after your last ride or whatever, just make sure all that dirt is kind of wiped away. Nothing is going to get down into the fine parts of your carburetor, because that will definitely make your bike run like crap. So I like to just wipe everything down here a little bit just to make sure nothing is gonna, like I said, get in there and foul me up, and then you'll be hunting down or tearing this thing right back apart and trying to clean it again. So I think I've got it for the most part, so we'll dive right in here. Got 4 screws on the bottom here. You can take this 17 millimeter bolt here off the bottom of it. For whatever reason on this model carburetor, I can only get to my main jet. It's not set up to where I can get to my pilot jet from here. So if I was just out riding and was wanting to make some adjustments, I'd have to take my carburetor all the way off if I for whatever reason need to change my pilot jet. So I don't really know why this one was made this way. I know other models are made to where when you take this off you can get to the main jet and the pilot jet, but not this one. So anyway, we're cleaning it anyway, so we'll take all of these out here. Maybe. Something's hooking me here. I believe the pin to my floats have slid over in a way it's got me blocked from getting my bow off. Here we go. Yeah, that's what it was. So, got the float bow off, and I'll clean down inside of that a little bit. It's not bad. Okay. So now what I like to do is, a lot of times I'll take these and I'll go ahead and do it just to get them out of the way, make the video a little better here. I'll take these vent hoses completely off and just set them to the side. My floats here, that a lot of them will have like a set screw right here to hold this. There's a pin right here. A lot of them will have a set screw there to keep that pin in place. Mine, however, does not, it was kind of like slid, and it was keeping my float bowl from coming off. You see the pin coming out there. There's that pin, set it there. Okay, you got this little valve here. You want to make sure that this little needle valve, want to make sure, what I always like to do, I take it off, and then I just take a little screwdriver and I just compress that little stem there just to make sure that it's going down and, you know, pushing back up the way it's supposed to. This is a new one. I've only had this one on here for just a couple weeks, but I think I got this thing for $6 or something like that. The other stem would go down and it was sticking coming back. So just something to double check. You really don't have to do anything with it. Just make sure that stem is working like it's supposed to. And here's your main jet, and then you've got your pilot jet here. So what I like to do, I'll take my pilot jet out first, and you just take a small screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, get it in there, and just make sure it's on that thing good. You don't want it to slip. It shouldn't be in there really, really tight. Just a few threads, not quite. Okay, it's there. There's my pilot jet. Okay, I'll set it to the side. Let me get my socket here. And I will remove my main jet. I've got a 155 main jet. My bike actually calls, stock is 162 main and 42 on the pilot jet. My bike has been running rich, which if you've watched my last video, you know that I'm having some power valve seal issues. So technically I think that air leaks should make my bike run leaner, but for some reason I'm having a really rich mixture. I don't know if I'm getting some blow by on my ring, on my piston, but I'll be checking into that. But so I've kind of tried to lean my bike out some. I've got a 155 main jet and a, let's see here, 38 on my pilot jet. So I've kind of taken both down a little bit. Okay, so what I like to do is I use this gunk carburetor cleaner. I just spray into the main jet, and the same thing for my pilot jet. Just making sure that all the holes that are in this thing are opened and are not clogged. You should be able to hold them up in some light and see through. This one looks good. Now just quick blow. Both were good. And then I'll take my spray here and spray all in my carburetor. Looks good. Looks good. Alright guys, so after I get the carburetor and everything sprayed clean, the way I think it needs to be, everything looks good and clear, I will start with my pallet jet, some compressed air, and just make sure you hold on to it. Things will go flying like crazy. Just get this thing completely dry. Do the main jet the same way. Doesn't take much. And then I do the same thing in the carburetor. I'm just everywhere I sprayed carb cleaner, I want to completely dry this carburetor out. So as far as carburetor, that looks good. Clean this float bowl out a little bit. I see a little bit of stuff on the bottom up there. I don't know if you can get in there and see that, but try to get that stuff sprayed out of there really good. And be careful too on your seal for your float bowl. You don't want to spray, you don't want to spray a whole lot of carb cleaner on it because it will start to eat away on that rubber O-ring. And you don't want to spray your compressed air right on it either, because then you take a chance of air getting up under it and making it lose its seal. So just kind of spray this thing out, get it dried up a little bit, and that should be good as far as that goes. And then putting everything back together, I'll go ahead and drop my pallet jet in. And again, it doesn't, you don't want to over tighten these at all. So just get your screwdriver on it, tighten that thing up. You'll know it starts to get snug, and then just as soon as you feel a little stop, that's plenty. Same thing for the main jet. And a lot of times these emulsion tubes that your main jet goes into will wear out. I've not ever had to change one. I'm actually hoping maybe to get me an electron carb for my bike before too long, but until then, but they say those emulsion tubes can go bad. Like I said, I've not ever had to change one. Not really sure that I would even know how. So anyway, we'll just start to thread this main jet back in. Same thing for it. You do not want to over tighten this thing. I got it finger tight right there, and I'm just barely gonna little snug. That's it. That's all it needs. Okay. All right. So then, as far as the float goes, just put this needle jet back on here. Make sure you got it the correct way. And it goes, that the needle jet will go directly inside of there, and then you could run your pin for your floats back through the holes here. So the way I like to do it, I'll turn this way, and I'll get that started right inside of there like so. And then once it's in there, I'll let go of the floats, start my pin through. And then you can double check your float height if you need. My float height is set for 16 millimeter, and you know, I've already got mine set, so I'm not going to go through that. But if you need to change your float height, the way to do it is get the float to where the float is not pushing on the spring-loaded stem there. Just get it to right where it starts to push on it, and then you measure from the flat surface here of the carb to the tip point of your float. You may have to check your maintenance, you know, your service manual to see, you know, what your height is supposed to be. So once you get that set, it should be good. But if you was to have to adjust it, you got this little tab here on your float. You just would bend that little tab there out or down, depending on whatever you need. So there's that back together, and then you just take your float bowl, line back up there, and then put all the screws back in, and that should take care of that. All right, guys, so I'm gonna finish putting this thing back together, and then it'll be ready to go back on the bike. But that, I mean, is just, you know, a really simple way of cleaning your carburetor. That's the way I clean mine. That's the way I clean my son's. Again, you know, guys, if you see anything that I'm doing wrong or anything I can do to, you know, to better the way that I do things, let me know. Like I said, you know, in my last video, and I'll say it in every video, I don't claim to know it all. It's a learning thing. It's a you know, a learning process for me, and I'm doing it, you know, as I go. So that's the way I clean my carbs, guys, and hopefully, you know, if you're new to it, it's something you've learned to do, and I'm glad I could help. So that's all I got, guys. Have a good day.